Gaurav Sawant is reporting inside Bucha, which is, a satellite town, a suburb of Kyiv right now. He's reporting from there. We understand amidst some shelling that's taking place. Let's just cut across and listen in live.
I don't know English. Sorry.
So, what's the condition inside in Bucha?
Don't speak English. Sorry.
Pizda Bucha. So,
okay, Gaurav is reporting from outside the city of Bucha. Outside the city of Bucha, with lots of people leaving the city right now as shelling is taking place. These are civilians. Live images coming to you from on the outskirts of Bucha. Bucha, let me remind our viewers, is a suburb of Kyiv.
What you do? I'm from Irpin.
You're from Irpin?
Yes.
Okay. Huh? And with me is Sergey. Sergey is from Irpin. Sergey, you're wearing a bulletproof jacket. What's the condition in Irpin right now?
Могу сказать только одно, что Ирпень сейчас половина под контролем российской армии, половина контролируется украинской армией. Гражданское население убегает.
Okay, Gaurav Sawant is on the road to Bucha, which is a city on the outskirts of Kyiv. It's part of the Kyiv metropolitan area, or the Oblast, as it's called in Russia, Ukraine. He's going to be live with us in just a moment. There has been some shelling in the Bucha area. Several parts of it have been damaged over the last few days. Gaurav Sawant was in Irpin yesterday. He is in the Kyiv suburb of Bucha today. He's just encountered a lot of civilians coming out of their town, trying to get out of there as quickly as possible amidst a round of heavy shelling that's taking place. These are images from the northeastern part of Kyiv, where that military convoy from Russia continues to be. Let's go across to Gaurav.
Easier said than done. An effort is being made to rescue these people from this broken bridge. Now, this place in the Bucha district in Irpin is directly in the line of Russian fire, and people are desperately trying to come out. This bridge is shattered. That van you can see shattered, but people desperately trying to flee this war zone. And this shows the hardships of war here. On India Today, we are showing you ground realities here on the outskirts of Kyiv. In fact, this is a very crucial bridge to enter Kyiv, and this bridge has been blown up so that the Russian forces are stalled. While the Russians may have their bridge-laying tanks, but getting those tanks in position here or finding another easier access to Kyiv will stall their advance, and this has given time to the Ukrainian forces to be able to bring their anti-tank guided missiles to be able to take on the Russian forces the moment they bunch up. But the fighting is extremely fierce here. You can hear shelling in the backdrop, and hundreds and hundreds of people are fleeing this battleground. They're fleeing the war zone. There are ambulances to take them back. Injured soldiers, incidentally, are also being brought by the same route. But the bigger challenge is to evacuate senior citizens and prepare for the defense of Kyiv. Extremely tough in the days ahead. Right now, the aim is to withdraw to a position from where Kyiv can be better defended. This is now a full-scale military operation, and the hours and days ahead will be extremely crucial in deciding whether the Ukrainian forces are able to defend Kyiv and for how long. With cameraman Pawan Kumar in the Bucha district, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
Gaurav Sawant reporting from the Bucha district just outside Kyiv. Bucha and Irpin are very close to each other. These are all locations on the outskirts of Kyiv where shelling has been taking place. There have been airstrikes taking place in Irpin as well. And we're going to get you straight down to Gaurav Sawant.
Fierce fighting is being reported right now in Irpin and in Bucha. The situation is extremely grim. The Russians seem to be advancing, and that is why this area is being evacuated. If you notice, only military personnel here in this Irpin-Bucha belt here in Ukraine. But hold on. Be very careful, Pawan, very careful. These are anti-tank mines that are laid on the road here. So now you can make out how dangerous the situation is. My camera person Pawan was very close to these anti-tank mines that have been placed here. In some areas, you also have anti-personnel mines that have been deployed. Now, we have been told that there are anti-personnel mines and anti-tank mines in this area. Emergency vehicles are rushing in. Because they're trying to bring as many people as they can out of this firing area. There is firing going on right now in Irpin and Bucha. The firing is fierce. You can hear the artillery shelling that is on at this point of time. Now, beyond this point, we are told that since yesterday, there was fierce fighting on. After that fierce fighting, the Russians are advancing, and as far as the Ukrainian army is concerned, they are on the second strategic block. So the effort is to stall the advance of the Russians at every barricade, at every picket. Camera person Pawan Kumar and I are trying to show you these houses have now been completely evacuated. All these houses have now been evacuated. There are no civilians in this area. There is the Ukrainian army, there is the Ukrainian militia, and there are those ambulances which are bringing back those who have been injured in this area. We are slowly trying to inch forward to get you more on this big story. Now, we've been told that it's very unsafe. You saw the anti-tank mines that have been laid. Those anti-tank mines are all over. There are those obstacles that have been laid here. There are anti-personnel mines, and it snowed very heavily in this area. Now, because of that snow, the advance was stalled as some of the tanks were on the anti-personnel mines. This is the Ukrainian army that is still holding on to this defense of the capital Kiev. With cameraman Pawan Kumar on the Irpin-Bucha axis in Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
The Irpin-Bucha axis is being seen by many on the ground as a kind of final gateway before Kiev. And that is where the Russians have now caused a lot of damage. There's a lot of civilian displacement, as you can see, in both of those cities, which are satellite cities right around Kiev. They're basically, small suburbs right outside Kiev where this damage is being done. This is a path, an axis through which that big military convoy that we've seen on the outskirts of Kiev, or at least a part of it, needs to pass through to execute one segment of the encirclement of the Ukrainian capital. But the results and the impact of the damage that is being done via airstrikes, shelling, rocket attacks and missile attacks is what you're seeing play out in these India Today images of the devastation in both Bucha as well as in Irpin. Large-scale damage in that urban center, huge amount of displacement, hundreds of people abandoning their houses and leaving as quickly as possible. We've seen images of shells landing inside the cities, residential buildings being targeted, and this is the aftermath. This is the visual impact of what's happening on the ground amidst shelling that continues even today. India Today's reporters have experienced shelling over the last 48 hours. You've seen our reports from both Irpin as well as Hostomel, and now we are in the satellite town of Bucha. Both of these towns, Irpin and Bucha, as well as Hostomel, are suburbs of Kiev. They're basically just around Kiev, and the Russian forces are seen to be softening up these suburbs before what the military headquarters in Kiev believes will be a brutal final assault to dominate Ukraine's capital. So that's what you're looking at right now. The breaths are being held in Kiev, after many days of a lull within the city, most of the attacks happening outside. Now there is a realization that things are escalating and that all indications will be a big attack on Kiev. Gaurav Sawant reporting there.
People from this broken bridge. Now this place in the Bucha district in Irpin is directly in the line of Russian fire, and people are desperately trying to come out. This bridge is shattered. That van you can see shattered, but people desperately trying to flee this war zone. And this shows the hardships of war here. On India Today, we are showing you ground realities here on the outskirts of Kiev. In fact, this is a very crucial bridge to enter Kiev, and this bridge has been blown up so that the Russian forces are stalled. While the Russians may have their bridge-laying tanks, but getting those tanks in position here or finding another easier access to Kyiv will stall their advance. And this has given time to the Ukrainian forces to be able to bring their anti-tank guided missiles to be able to take on the Russian forces the moment they bunch up. But the fighting is extremely fierce here. You can hear shelling in the backdrop, and hundreds and hundreds of people are fleeing this battleground. They're fleeing the war zone. There are ambulances to take them back. Injured soldiers, incidentally, are also being brought by the same route. But the bigger challenge is to evacuate senior citizens and prepare for the defense of Kiev. Extremely tough in the days ahead. Right now, the aim is to withdraw to a position from where Kyiv can be better defended. This is now a full-scale military operation, and the hours and days ahead will be extremely crucial in deciding whether the Ukrainian forces are able to defend Kyiv and for how long. With cameraman Pawan Kumar in the Bucha district, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
Gaurav Sawant is reporting from Bucha, that's right on the outskirts of Kyiv. And these are the images. Look at the three images of the kind of damage and what it has caused in Bucha. Bucha is just about 18 to 20 kilometers outside of Kyiv. It's basically a suburb of Kyiv. It's part of the Kyiv district, or oblast as it's called, in Russia and Ukraine, very close to the Kyiv city itself. And these are the images, the latest images from just minutes ago of what's happening in that city at this point of time.
12 days.
Careful. Okay. So, how bad is the fighting inside? Is it just missiles and rockets, or is it also
So bad.
tanks and artillery? And
No, I don't see any tanks, but I'm here like a bullet under my head.
oh, even small arms fire.
Boo!
You stay safe. You are hearing missiles. Stay safe. And thank you for speaking to us here at India Today. So that's the situation on ground as people assemble for evacuation in Bucha. Now this is an old church here, but the church has also been shelled. The church is also damaged, and the effort is the soldiers are protecting the civilians, and the effort is to evacuate this place as quickly as possible. Get all the civilians out. Only the combatants will remain. With cameraman Pawan Kumar in Irpin, Bucha district, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
India Today's Geeta Mohan is also on the ground on the outskirts of Kyiv and in the suburbs that are currently under attack, and seeing this huge exodus of civilians from there. Here's Geeta's report from the ground.
We are here in Bucha district of Irpin. You can hear all the Russian action. It continues, maybe at a distance, but it is quite a scare. We have residents from Bucha who are leaving their homes either on foot or being taken in ambulances and emergency services that have been pressed into action only for evacuation right now in Bucha district. The whole night, people over here really had to go through a lot of Russian action. So it is continuing. There are many areas that are absolutely unsafe, and because the Russian forces have been unrelenting when it comes to the attack, and despite all the statements on no attacks on civilians, we do know that these areas are being evacuated right now. If you see the church over here, you can see the church which was bombed, and the action continues. So we can't go beyond this point that you see, where Ambulances have been placed only to evacuate as many as they can, and that's the church. Absolutely. So I can smell the soot of burnt homes, and while the action is just a very short distance away, it still is an area that is considered absolutely unsafe. That's the church right behind me, absolutely burnt because of the shelling that the building suffered. And there you have people trying to run away from. Okay, you can smell burning, the burning smell of soot in the air, and people trying to escape, leave in these minivans.
Russia, as per all indications on the ground, is planning a big assault on Kyiv. And what Gaurav and Geeta have just sent to us from one of the satellite cities outside Kyiv in Bucha is that these Axis areas right around the Ukrainian capital are being softened up for what could be some kind of final assault. And it's not us saying it. The alarm bells have been officially sounded by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, who revealed that Russian troops have regrouped and reorganized for some kind of a big assault on Kyiv. The top general of the Ukrainian Armed Forces has said that the Kremlin plans to send its most combat-ready units of the Russian army, as well as paramilitary and militias from the east and from Chechnya. The Wagner Group is a fearsome, feared, specialized Russian paramilitary organization that has been witnessed as part of operations to take over the Hostomel air base recently, for instance. We're going to be back in 30 seconds, taking you straight back to the ground, where we're getting even more images of the shelling that's taking place on the outskirts of Kyiv. Stay with India Today. Our coverage continues.